All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. I know it's really loud in here, so hopefully you can hear me. Everybody can hear me okay? Justin, we good? Okay, I can't see those slides, but hopefully all you guys can see them. If not, you can shift that way. So it'll be a little weird here. Look at me, but look at the screen. There you go. Better. Mark Orag, DoD CIO. So I'm just here to tell you about the initiatives we have going on at DoD to help the Navy and all the services with their cyber workforce. So before I get into it, just give me a little picture here. How many people here are contractors that work for DoD? Contractors. Okay, civilians. Work for Navy? Any sailors, Marines? One? Okay, by the way, I recommend if you guys can't see the slides, you can shift over. You've already seen them, I don't know. So, okay. Cyber workforce. Just, I'll get into this more, but when I look at the cyber workforce, I'm looking at everyone, right? I'm looking at I'm looking at civilians, I'm looking at military, and I'm looking at contractors. So when we talk about qualification, it does apply to all of those. And we'll talk more specifics on how we implement that. Okay, so real quick, DoD CIO. Anybody here in a CIO shop? One. Okay, I will submit to you, and my team, I will submit to you that the DoD CIO is a unique organization when it comes to all the things that fall under DoD CIO. From Spectrum. When I first got to DoD CIO, if you would have told me that we owned a personnel system, I didn't believe it. I can't imagine why a CIO shop holds a personnel system. Now I know what we do. So personnel systems, we do C3, we do, of course, cybersecurity, zero trust. Everybody's heard of those things. But it is a very huge portfolio for one organization to manage. And we have a whopping 130 people to do all this. So very lean, very small, if you will, and a huge portfolio. So pretty much we're one deep in every area. So I just wanted to highlight some of the functions that DoD CIO does. Anybody hear of our Fulcrum? This is a DoD CIO strategy. Who's heard of Fulcrum? Okay, most of you. Wow, that's more than this morning. Outstanding. Maybe some of you attended this morning. This is DoD's CIO strategy. It just came out last summer. It's a four-pronged strategy. You'll see the first three are more standard for what CIOs do: optimize IT governance, modernize information networks, all the things you'd expect to see in there, with the warfighter as the forefront in LOE 1. But we also put in LOE 4, which is all about people and the workforce. And I am the proponent within DoD CIO to make sure that LOE 4 happens. Underneath each of these LOEs, we have requirements, we have initiatives that we will do to help achieve that objective. One of my main metrics is vacancy rate, and we'll talk more about that in a second. All right, what is the cyber workforce and how short are we, right? Nationally, we're short about 500,000, according to this estimate, of cyber professionals across the nation. Okay, so that's a huge number if you think about it. But within the department alone, we're short about 17,000. What's Navy short, by the way? Do you know? How many? You don't know off the top of your head. A-Rod knows. A-Rod, where is he? He's pulling out his metrics. He'll tell me in a second. But here's an interesting stat. The DoD turns over 10,000 cyber experts a year. Where do they go? They serve the nation. So when I go talk on the Hill and I talk about how we're going to address this 500,000 shortage across the nation, I think DoD is a key contributor to solve that. We take in many, many individuals, we train them, we give them good experience, and then we partner with the nation to turn over that talent to industry. Some of our military, we go civilian. Some of our civilians go to become contractors helping out the department. So I don't look at it as competition. You've heard that a lot today. I've heard Jane say that many times. I look at it as a partnership. The DoD, civilian, industry, private partner, private public as a partnership. We're all in this together. We all have a mission, which is a national challenge to fix this workforce. 5,000 short just in the Navy alone. Thank you, A-Rod. All right, so within the cyber workforce, within the department, we have about 175,000 total authorizations, about 155,000 on hand, and we estimate about 70,000 contractors. That's an estimate because I have yet to figure out how to count contractors. It's not as easy as you think. If you have a solution in the Navy of how you count contractors, please let me know. I'm still trying to crack that one. All right, so that's the big picture, right? So within the DoD CIO, I own a Workforce Innovation Directorate, and I chose that name on purpose. Innovation, I want to try things. We've been after the shortage of this talent for a decade, and we haven't solved it. I want to solve this, which means we have to try things. And some of the things we try will not work, and I'm okay with that, okay? We have to adjust some of the risk here and adjust some of the failure to get after this shortage of talent. So what's our vision and our mission? The bottom line is I view DoD CIO as being agile, flexible, and responsive to the warfighter. My mission is to serve the warfighter, to serve the components, to serve the services, and provide you the authorities, the policy, and what you need in order to defeat our adversaries and defeat the enemy. So that's why I'm here, right? That's what we're supposed to do for you. So I serve you, it's not the other way around. Having said that, when I ask for information, it's for a reason. So I also have bosses, and they're on the Hill, and they provide resources, and they provide authorities. So I have to appease them. So part of this is the information flow between us and you back to us, okay? Tell me what you need, I will go fight for it. Give the information that I need, and I'll help sell that fight, okay? So our cyber warfare strategy, it's been out about 1.5 years now. We had 4 goals, and we have 4 pillars. You guys can read the goals. One of the ones I always like to highlight is goal 3, cultivate a cultural shift. Usually when I brief this to the services, they say, I like our culture. I'm like, great, Navy, Marine Corps has a great culture, right? Keep your culture. Can I change the HR culture? Anybody want to see the HR culture change? To be more agile, flexible, and responsive to the warfighter? How about time to hire to 25 days? Anybody want to see that? Okay, I do. So how do we get there, right? It's not the way we've done business. We have to change the way we're doing things. That's what I'm all about. I do this based on 4 pillars. The first and the most important to me as a data scientist is identification. I have to know my workforce. I have to know how many people I need and how many people I have. I then have to know the qualification level, the proficiency level of each of those individuals so I can measure readiness. If I have that much information, I determine my training proficiency. I determine my training requirements, resource requirements. I can then assure a qualified force. So if I don't have that identification, I don't have information and that I can then sell to our hires to get you guys the resources you need. Okay, I can't just go in and say, we're short cyber. Okay, that's nice. I want $1 million. Well, that's nice. To do what? I have to have the data to back up the request that I'm asking for. Okay? Recruitment, development, and retention. You've heard those for decades. Everybody here will always say, yeah, we need to increase retention. We need to increase recruitment. By the way, in my military here, recruiting is a challenge. Is it a challenge for cyber? You might know the answer. It is not a challenge for cyber. I can recruit all day long sailors and Marines I need for the cyber workforce. Why? Because if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you know if you go into the service for 4 years and get a cyber certification and cyber experience and cyber training, you're making 6 figures in 4 years. Okay, that's a pretty darn good carrot to attract people in. My issue then is how do I retain them? Okay, On my civilian side, definitely difficult on the recruitment and retention side. Okay, great. How do we fix that? What can we do to change it? And I'll give you some ideas here of what we're working on. 38 initiatives. Year one, last year, I focused on 10. I achieved 9 of the 10 objectives that we set out to do at the beginning of the year. That's a 90%. That's near an A. At least my kids tell me that, Dad, that's an A. Okay. Don't get an 89 though, that's a B. 90 is an A, so we're doing okay. So this year I have 5 additional objectives besides the 9 we're going to carry out. 5 more, and I'll cover those in a second. So when we made that implementation plan, I did not say no to anybody's good idea. Anybody who had a good, and we had all the services were included in making this. Anybody who had a good idea, I said, let's try it. And I'm going to use the data to measure recruitment, development, and retention and say, did that initiative help me with recruiting? If it was supposed to help with recruiting. If it didn't, I'm killing it, getting rid of it. I shouldn't say killing. I'm going to divest of that and invest in some other initiative that may or may not work. So that's what I'm after. Let's invest our money and invest our resources in things that work and divest of things that don't work. And I think we always have to be trying new things because the market is changing. Cyber is changing. So what are those things? It's more than just money, by the way. Okay, so what are some of the things we achieved last year? We started off with over 150 days in time to hire, and we're down to 79. That beats the OPM standards. This is on the cyber workforce, okay, for the department. This is our average across the board. Some services are doing better than others. Our vacancy rate, we decreased by 4.8% down to 16%. This year we're going to be below 15%. At least that's what my evaluation says, so we better get there. We added integrated cyber operations scenarios to our training scenarios or exercises, and we stood up the Cyber Academic Engagement Office as directed in the NDAA. And Dr. Diba Hadi is here. She is the principal director of that office. So the goal here is to link up academia with the department. And I am now responsible for all cyber academic engagement that the department conducts. All. Okay? And it's going to run through Diba. I just head the office. She actually does all the work. So any academic in exchanges, questions, Diba can help you out. So we're going to continue with that. So I said, what were our priorities for FY25? My first priority is continuing to code and increase the quality of coding. Second priority, and these aren't actually in order because my number one priority is skills-based hiring. So we'll get to this later, but I've already told you that you cannot hire today your cyber workforce based on education, experience, or certifications. So how are you hiring? How are you bringing in your workforce if you can't use those? Because most PDs I read say, I want a PhD with 20 years of experience and all these certifications. By the way, that talent doesn't exist. We're short 20,000. So where are we going to get this talent if I can't use those? My solution is skills-based hiring. Okay. By the way, hiring managers. Who are my hiring managers out here? If you're a hiring manager, raise your hand. 1, 2. Him too. Okay, her. What criteria are you using to hire your cyber workforce today? What is it? OPM? Well, OPM has really helped you a lot here because they said, if you're a data scientist graduating with a PhD, I can hire you as a GS-12. That doesn't help us much, right? So they put a lot of restrictions on us, but they haven't given us a lot of opportunities. I'm here to try to break that and fix it. So skills-based hiring to me is key. I will get that done this year. I might fail in getting that done, which I'm okay with. But I'm going to push those bounds and make at least a pilot happen this year. It won't be for the whole department, but I'm going to try this year. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble doing it, which is part of the fun of my job. We're going to establish an apprenticeship program. I have it all ready to go. Last year we signed a co-letter with acquisition and sustainment DoD CIO and Department of Labor said we're going to start an apprenticeship program. I have it all ready to go, but as things go, Congress didn't give us a budget yet, so I'm under a CR, so I can't start a new start. As soon as I get money, I'm going to start this. So that's another thing we're going to achieve this year. Cyber Accepted Service. Who's heard of this program? This is the personnel system that I run. I'm going to enhance it. You'll see some of the enhancements I have. I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to try to get rid of our pay caps. I have tried now for 3 years to make this happen. Every time I get shot down by other federal agencies because they want the same requirements, or the same authorities. But DoD is unique. Who else does legal offensive cyber operations? Who operates under Title 50 and Title 10? Who has the largest percent of the federal workforce? 53% of the cyber workforce resides in DoD. We are special. I should have special hiring. So that's my argument with the Hill on this, and I think I'm going to make this happen. Okay? Again, if I turn over 10,000 cyber professionals per year, I should get extra help hiring and retaining the people I do have to maintain the best and the brightest. And then the fifth priority here is to mature, or enhance, amplify the Cyber Academic Engagement Office. You know, I love the Congress, I love National Defense Authorization Acts, but they usually tell you to do something, and then they never give you money or people to do it. So I'm building that internally, and everybody who's standing up a new organization knows that takes time and a lot of effort to make happen. DEBA is going to make it happen, though, I'm confident. Okay, who's heard of the Defense Cyber Workforce Framework? Work roles. Did you all know we have 73? Last month we only had 72. We've increased by 1. I don't know if that's good or bad. I have some services tell me we have too many. So when I say cyber, I'm talking about IT. By the way, 72% of my workforce is IT. Cybersecurity, 12% of my workforce. Cyber effects, 1.5% of my workforce. Okay, all the attention seems to go to cyber effects. We have organizations stood up just to manage that workforce, and it's 1.5% of my total workforce. Very powerful, very great, have to have it, small. Cyber intel, cyber enablers, my third largest cohort. Actually, no, software engineers now are my third largest cohort. 8% of the cyber workforce. And then I have data and AI, and I know you haven't heard anything about data and AI lately at all. So we're definitely going to define that workforce and get that coded also. What is a work role? Before I go on, everybody has heard of the DCWF. So everybody know what an occupational series is. Is anybody here a 2210? Great. Anybody here a 1500 series? Okay. Do you know that for work roles, you could be a 1500 series, you could be a 2210. The Navy occupational series are called what? Skill. What is it? Rating designators, okay? Whatever. Ratings and designators. It doesn't matter to me what you are, it matters to me what you do. And each work role defines the knowledge, skills, abilities, and tasks required to do a job. So this is, to me, an innovative, revolutionary way of looking at the workforce. We care about what you do, not about what your title is, or about your occupational series, or readiness or designator, or occupational series. This levels the playing field across my contractors, my civilians, and my military. I have all three doing the same function. I know exactly what that function is by work role, and now I can count and measure. That's amazing, guys. That's awesome. By the way, for our work roles, we now have 73. How often do I have to update these? So I have the ability to update these every 90 days. If you've heard of the NICE framework, we've helped create that in 2015. Since that time, we've updated over 60% of our work roles. I'm not going to tell you how many NICE has updated. So we are always updating these because I feel strongly that even though I have to update these every 90 days, the cyber requirements, the enemy has a vote here, cyber technology is changing. So we have to keep up with that change. So if you identify a task or a skill that's now required that wasn't required 90 days ago, you need to let me know so I can update it. Okay, it's not a trivial process to update these. If you all have worked with IO psychologists before, I didn't even know what those were, but now I do. I have many of them on my staff who go through these painstakingly and identify every one of these roles. So let us know and we will change it. My commitment to you is I'll be responsive to the needs of the warfighter. So if the warfighter says these are wrong, you let me know and we'll change them. Okay? That's why we have 73 now. All right, but why do all this work? Mark, this is so much work for me. My people don't like to have to code their workforce. Or worse, we coded, we're done. Coding is never done. Okay? Coding is never done, especially on our next phase here on qualification. Think about this for a second. We just spent 2 years coding the authorized position and the person in that position and what work roles, up to 3 each, they're in, or what they do. Okay, I call that high school coding. We now, by next week, will have to do the qualification of our workforce, the proficiency level, intermediate, basic, or advanced for each of those work roles, both on what we need and what we have and where our people are, which is going to change really often because people change out, right? My level of proficiency hopefully increases over time, not decreases, but with the technology changing, that could happen also. And I have to maintain my qualification. So the first reason to code is so that we know where we're at. What do we need and what do we have? Okay? So that I can figure out the proficiency. The proficiency leads to development. What does the force need? What training do we need? What's the requirement? Today, I think I need this much training, but this will tell you exactly what you need. So then I can go fight for resources to get trained. Okay? Key point of this, resource identification. Second part of that, no longer are the days where you can come in as a civilian into a qualified position that you were qualified for today and still be qualified a year later without going to training. We're no longer going to have career civilians in cyber that have been there for 20 years and have never gone to a training course. Those days are gone. So training will be required on an annual basis to maintain qualification, just to maintain. The output of this is readiness, which to me makes this not a 6 issue, not a 1 issue, but this is an operator issue, a 3 issue. We have to get after the 3 to identify readiness of the cyber workforce. This is the solution. So both identification, qualification, all leading to readiness is why we code. So that we know we have a qualified, ready force to execute our mission, to defeat our adversaries. That's why we do this. Okay, how do we do this? 8140, kind of a dirty word sometimes. This next month it'll be awesome because we're actually going to have this implemented for the cybersecurity workforce, and we will know where our qualification level is. A year from February 26th, they'll have to be qualified to be eligible to stay in that position. So we're identifying the force now, we're coding at that PhD level, in a year it goes into total effect. And also in a year, all the rest, cyber ops, cyber security, cyber intel will all have to maintain that qualification levels and code those also, starting with cyber security. Only 12%, not too hard. Okay, again, all leading to readiness. The key to 8140 to me is readiness. Okay, we changed one word in our manual, thanks to Matt Eisner here, and we changed the word in red here on the screen from and to or. Again, education or training or certification, right? I'll add in experience to that. So if we don't have skills-based hiring, I don't know how we're going to hire, because we can't rely on any of these solely. Now, if I'm a hiring manager, I'm going to rely on all of them kind of combined to make an assessment. But it's nice to have education, it's nice to have certifications, but that doesn't guarantee me that you're qualified to do the work. How do I know you're qualified to do the work if I don't put you in a skills-based assessment, which to me is a range, a cyber range. It's not a test, it's not a self-evaluation check, I'm an expert in this field, I'm an expert in this field. No, it's putting you into a cyber range and having you fail and having you actually do the job. And that way I know you can do the job or not. And if you think about it, if you can do the job, does it matter what education you have or experience or certs you have? If you can do the job in the cyber range, then you can do the job. So I should hire you. So this will open the door to a lot of potential perceived imbalances in who is qualified for these positions. We can open up that door. I believe strongly there is enough talent in the United States to fill all of our vacancies. They just can't get through USA Jobs. So, and I'll tell you in a second how to get around all that. Okay, residential qualifications are huge. We at DoD's have done the foundation requirements for all the work roles. You, as organizations and as components and services, have to identify the intermediate and advanced level of qualifications. We are not there yet. When we first did this, we said we'd do them all, and the services said, absolutely not, we want to do them. Now that we're implementing, the services have come to us and said, please, 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 do this for us. We're going to work with you to make this happen, okay? So more to happen on that. And then, of course, continuous development requirement to maintain qualification. That's going to be key. Okay, this is for your picture slide. This is the timeline. I'm not going to go over this a lot. You can have these slides. This is the foundation requirements and the quals starting next year. So huge, huge, huge timeline here. February is the key date for us. Every February we have a new requirement. So we're collecting all that data. By the way, that's a lot of data to give to me. Who wants to do that in spreadsheets? So I'm 100% against spreadsheets. I like computer to computer. We have already ingested all of your personnel systems, both on the manpower and the personnel system side. We have already put all these codes in there to do this. The piece we're missing is the learning management systems integration with our automation. And the Navy is still missing that piece. So I want to get to a point where we have seamless linkage, computer to computer API talking. No spreadsheets, no PowerPoint, system to system interface. You all have to develop that and make it happen. When each of the services develop their own, however that works out, I will then look across the field and pick best practice and may incorporate an enterprise-wide solution. I will not do that until I see all the services execute this. Reason, if I did it now, no matter what system I gave you, no matter how good it was, you would say it was bad. I'm gonna let you figure it out and then come to me and say, wow, this is so much better than we have. That's my goal. All right, measuring what matters and what's next, right? So we've already ingested the service authoritative personnel systems and manpower systems. We aggregated the data through our Advana platform, Advanced Analytics. You all have access to this. If you attend A-Rod's brief tomorrow morning at 8:45, he will actually pull up the live dashboard. The data will be as new to you as it is to me. Okay, it's live. So whatever it says is where we're at today. By the way, we brief that live dashboard every quarter at our Cyber Workforce Management Board at the 4-star level. I brief a live dashboard. That's always a fun thing for me to do, because I'll get hits from the 4-stars. Well, that's not what you showed us in the pre-brief 2 weeks ago. I'm like, nope, it changed. This is what it is today, okay? But data is power. If you have all that data, I can then justify resources and make decisions to help you with recruiting, to help you with retention. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. Every single quarter, I fight for you all for TLMS enhancements. We use data to make all those decisions. It isn't hearsay, it's not SMEs, it's not a wish list, it's all factual data based. So help me help you. Where are we going? Cyber workforce quality reporting, qualification reporting rather, and by the way, never ending process for coding. So get your coding teams up to date. Who's responsible for coding? How many people say it's the one? The personnel is responsible for coding. Okay, nobody. Wow, no ones in here. How many people say it's the 6? Nobody says it's the 6. Okay, who's left? The 3. How about, who in here is a supervisor? You're responsible for coding. Supervisors are responsible for coding. How can the 1, the 6, or the 3 code your team? They don't know what you do every single day of every single member of your team. Only the supervisor does. Supervisors are responsible for coding. Code your people. And by the way, I didn't say what occupational series they're in. We have 205 different occupational series within the cyber workforce today. 205. I have lawyers. I have doctors as cyber. Huh? Yes, because they're either supporting or doing cyber workforce. So don't let people tell you, well, I'm not in cyber. I just work on the cyber budget. Well, you're in cyber. I'm not in cyber. I just support the cyber workforce. Well, you're in cyber. Okay? It doesn't have to be just hands-on keyboard. We have a lot of enablers. Okay? I'm not in cyber. I just do data analysis. You're in cyber. I'm not in cyber. I'm just in AI, whatever that is. You're in cyber. Okay? So if you're doing a help desk and you're in IT, you're in cyber. Okay? Cyber is very broad and expansive. So our cyber workforce is large. So you're in cyber. And what does that all lead to? Think of yourself as cybercom. You're a COCOM. You're getting forces from across the DoD, from the Navy, from the Marine Corps, from the Air Force, from the Space Force. You want to make sure that every single person you're getting has the same level of qualification, the same level of standard. That's what we're trying to influence across the board. Set those standards, enforce those standards, ensure we have qualified people so we can defeat the enemy. That's what we're after, right? That's why we do this. All right, we have tools to help us do this. One of the tools that I have at my disposal is Cyber Accepted Service. Again, I didn't realize I ran a personnel system. If you're in cyber, anybody here in Cyber Accepted Service? 1, 2, yeah, all you guys are. All my team is. Okay, Cyber Accepted Service, I do not need USA jobs. Skip the line. I can direct hire. On-the-spot hiring. Merit-based promotions. Increased pay potential. As far as I know, this is the only special salary rate that goes to GS 15 Step 12. If you look at OPM website, all other special salary rates stop at GS 12, Step 12. We go to GS 15. And then our biggest carrot is we have enhanced pay for critical work roles. Who determines critical work roles? The data you all provide to me. And I get a bunch of 4 stars that say, yep, we agree. And once they say that, we put out the policy. It's must pay bill across the board. It's called TLMS, targeted. Targeted is the key word there. Targeted local market supplement. We now have 23 work roles receiving it as of January 1st. We've doubled our size. I fight every day to increase that. Right now we have 23 of the 73, all receiving TLMS. 21 work roles. And we have 6 in the bubble to add. So I'm hoping we can add those here. Again, must pay bill. So TLMS, how much do you think that is? Let's give an example. Here's a GS14 Step 1 in DC. Whether you're in a general schedule or CES, base pay for a Step 1 in DC is $142K. That's not bad money. That's pretty good money. Okay. If we add TLMS to that, if you get TLMS, you automatically get paid $24,000 more. You're at $167K. But that's just one tool in my kit bag. I also, as a hiring manager, you all have the authority within every service to give a 25% what we call 3R bonus. Recruiting, retention, or relocation bonus. 25%. So if you did not receive TLMS, but you just got the 25% under the general schedule or under CES, you're at 178. But here's the kicker. If you get TLMS, that 25% is added from the TLMS amount, not just your base pay. So that adds up to 208,000. Again, much better. My goal here is pay parity. By the way, you guys don't know if you know this, I have the authority in DoD CIO to up that to 50%. So now I can increase pay from 142 up to 221,000, roughly an 80K increase in pay. I am now getting very, very close to pay parity. These tools exist today, these authorities exist today. You have them in your kit bag. How many of you are using them? Now, don't get me wrong, I've stood up here before and briefed this audience, or audiences even larger than this, and they say, great, everyone's gonna get $221,000 a year. Absolutely not. Okay? We want to maintain and retain and hire the best, the most qualified, right? So my challenge to you, if you're a supervisor and you own people, your number one person, most people in an organization knows who their number one is. Your number one person that you can't live without, that if they quit today, you would be at mission failure. Give them this bonus today. Just do it. You don't have to ask them. And if anybody tells you, if HR tells you, oh, you have to go out to industry and get a competitive pay a salary. Wrong. No, you don't. If any of your HR people tell you that, see my people, we will show you the memo that says that's not true. That's a myth. I don't want them going out to industry and asking for competitive pay. Then I might lose them for sure. I just want to pay them. Okay? So take care of your people. I only want to retain the best and the brightest. I don't want to retain all. You should do the same. So your top people, pay them a bonus. Okay? Keep them on hand. That will send the ripple effect through the community. You have these authorities today. Have to announce. March 20th and 21st, DC, we're having our first ever Cyber Workforce Summit. We will talk about all these topics, give you tools, talk about authorities. It's a good chance to give us feedback also. Okay? So please attend this. This will be a great, if you're into cyber workforce, you want to attend this summit. Here's a quick QR code to give me a survey of how you thought this talk was and what I needed to provide you. So please take a quick picture of that. I just love watching people get their phones out. It's great. All right, and then these two. So we have our DoD Cyber Exchange and I have our Workforce Summit QR codes. Part of my job is to make sure that you all have the information you need to be successful. Everything I told you today is under that Cyber Exchange. Every single program we have and more is under there. Exchange programs, scholarships. Civilians in here right now, do you know that you can qualify for a paid for scholarship by me to go get a master's degree or a PhD? Do you guys know that exists? Yeah, we have that. It's available to you as a training tool. So look into it. We have lots of programs like that. Exchange with industry, exchange with federal government, exchange within DoD. Okay, all those programs exist. Please go to our exchange and look into it. All right, I'm almost on time, according to my trackers here. So, this is your shot now. Ask me questions. What questions do you have for me? If you do, please go up to the mic. Oh, of course, and Josh starts off. Okay, Josh, let me have it.
Navy. So I'm just curious, with the potential changes coming to the COF definition, what is your interpretation of that opening up to the cyber workforce personnel?
Okay, I'm gonna have to phone a friend on this one. Matt, where is it? COF definition? Do I have an answer for that?
Cyber operation forces.
So the question is COF definitions and what changes do I see?
I think he's talking about the expansion of CES outside of the COF. Not just
yeah. Oh, okay. CES expansion outside the COF. Yeah, that's one of the very first things. I think I'm going to get that actually done. So actually today, it's outside the COF. We have CES outside the COF today. In that, if you're supporting the COF, right? Because it says direct cybercom or support thereof. So we've interpreted that law very I guess, liberally, and we have a lot of organizations say they support cybercom. Okay, so if I get rid of that requirement, I see it expanding much more. I get asked by the Hill all the time, if you get rid of that requirement, how many people will be in CES? Today we have about 15,000. I think it'll go about 25. So that's my estimate.
Thanks. Hi, Bruce Hidaka Gordon with Naval Information Warfare Center. First, I want to say thank you so much to you and the team for the CES program. In my last role at 3rd Network Battalion, we were able to transition every single employee except one to CES. And as somebody that attained step 12, my wife thanks you as well. So the question, though, is a little more negative. If we're looking at a year now for people to maintain their coding to stay in the cyber workforce, what happens when they don't? I've had experiences where some employees refuse to test, some employees don't want to do this or that. What authorizations will be added to allow us to remove them from the workforce, which I've tried before, wasn't successful, so I'm curious how that's going to go for us.
All right,
Sorry to be a downer.
I'll answer that very positively.
Great.
The only people who can work in the cyber workforce are people who are qualified. If you're not qualified, you can no longer work in the cyber workforce. I didn't say you're fired. I said you can't work in the cyber workforce. So it'll give you, as supervisors, data to be able to have performance improvement plans, to have additional training, to get them qualified. And if they still can't, you have all your procedures and protections under Title V to do performance improvement plans, and then go forth from there.
So, which is great, but no new authority to make that faster. We still have to go through all the normal HR system.
So I will submit to you, I will make it faster, because the day you're not qualified is the day you can start that process.
Okay, looking forward to that. I mean, it's critical for us as management to have the backing of DoD for that, because when we try to do those things, HR needs to follow the HR process, and they tend to say, well, no, give it another chance, give it another chance. And in one case, we had years and years of that, which we can't afford in a workforce we need today. So thank you.
I mean, I think we all agree that we're short people, and we need every single person we have to be qualified to do their job. So I'll leave it at that. All right, no more questions. I must have done a great job for explaining. No more questions? All right, I'll end with, first of all, thank you for what you do. Cyber workforce and being in cyber and tech, I'll say the digital workforce is not trivial. I appreciate everyone who supports the DoD and the federal government. And with industry, we're in this as a partnership, right? It's civilians, it's military, and it's our partners from the contractor side. So thank you for what you do. Let me know how I can help you. And with that, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming today. Was that retention?
Test, test, test. Test, test. Hello. Test, 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 test. At 3:30, yeah. Test, test, test. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
well,
but
they're
after Dylan.
standing.
But he's standing. After there, that's you. No, I'm
No,
not.
it's Emily, and then
Oh,
Josh,
then
and then
me,
me.
then Hannah. Okay, yeah. Emily's gonna say you're here, so there.
Thing was weird.
I think that's what bullets. Josh will be speaking, then I'll speak again, and then you'll speak again. Oh, I don't care. Whichever.
We're
All right.
mixing it up.
I don't care. I'm sitting right here.
It works.
Ready? Ready?
Who are you just talking to?
Some NATOC guys that want to go CES, and now they're not
Oh.
incentivized. And
Oh, I
did
wonder if
they
it's the
only
guy
do
that
the
told-
3 Rs.
I wonder if it was the guy that I was talking to.
Test, test,
There
test,
you go.
test,
Weather.
test, test, test.
What was
Am I good?
They said, I think, I don't remember.
spoke
They're
to
going to
one.
come to our breakout session.
Okay. I spoke to
We good?
one.
We good?
Because
Yeah.
I said, you can
Okay.
ask her directly. Because
Right.
they were saying
I can't.
that
It's hard for me to hear it. Like,
25% grants. I said,
I'm
you
good.
need CES to get that.
No, but your command has to approve it.
Yeah, I said, your
Yeah.
command has to do it. And so,
come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Good afternoon and welcome to sunny San Diego and the Don IT West conference.
The carnival, what's it called? The
got
carnival
it.
where they're going through?
All right, we got everybody here. So check it out. There's probably not enough seats. So what I'm going to do is, because you can't see, not everybody can see the slides, I'm going to have to talk to what some of the slides say, because we really did a lot of visual stuff to kind of talk through and just see your reaction to each of those slides, just to kind of understand where we're at and if you were feeling the same way we were feeling about things. So we'll kind of talk through it. We'll get through it. It'll be all right. Okay, so I am Derek Fickle. I support the Deputy Commandant for Information, specifically in the Information Workforce Division. I support Miss Den right here. She is our lead. She's the Chico and the lead for the cyber workforce. And then I also roll deep with the Don team up here. So this is the Don team. We'll kind of get through their names, everything up here when we get a little bit later into our conversation. But we wanted to have a chance to be able to come up here where this started kind of like it was going to be Derek just talking all the time. We were like, look, we got some great questions in the panel on the first day of yesterday. We got some good questions. So we want to make sure that you all who don't get to go to the Cyber Workforce Summit, so if you don't know this, we hold a summit for cyber workforce in the mornings, 8:30 to 11 in room 4. Room 4. So if you'd like to show up, hear about the cyber workforce and what we're doing in the Don, the Navy and the Marine Corps, come on over there, hang out with us for a few hours, and then go check everything else out, exhibitors, whatever you want to do. Go to La Jolla, see the SEALs. I mean, whatever you do while you're on your TAD, that's what you do, right? Okay. So today we're going to sit and we're going to talk about taking 8140. Most people are familiar with 8140 throughout this area here. Good. You just heard Mr. Gorak talk about the 8140 and where he wants to take it and where he wants to take the Workforce Innovation Division to take it. And that's exactly where we want to go. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what we're doing for training and development. But we're also going to talk about a few workforce things that we're working on, just because we got those good questions at the panel, so we want to make sure that we cover down on everything that's there. Okay, so I'm going to take you, it's going to go like this. I'm going to take you through a little history session. I'm going to take you kind of from back in the day to current to future. We're going to go on a real little travel through time here, and then I'm going to give it to Chris, and Chris is going to cover training and development. Whoa, don't go yet. Don't go yet. He's going to cover training and development. It's going to come back to me. I'm going to talk about executing that training and development program, some of the things we're working on, and then they're going to continue through the Don team to talk about all the stuff that we're working on and what we're doing, trying to get training and development going, right? Because what we understand here is that 8140 is a talent management program, not a compliance drill. It is a talent management program. That talent management program will build readiness of the cyber community, right? And we will have an empowered workforce. Now, we're going to talk a lot about that workforce that gets coded here, but don't forget, as you're out there doing things with the workforce, that your workforce is the entirety of the workforce. So everyone needs to be empowered, from the user all the way up to leadership has to be empowered to be this ready cyber digital information workforce. A lot of things different things you can use there. I think digital is the way we're going to go. Okay, so let's go take a little step back in time. Hit me with the first one. All right. So all of them over here see Gunny Hartman. Who has seen Full Metal Jacket? All right, you've seen Full Metal Jacket. You know who Gunny Hartman is. He is the drill instructor in Full Metal Jacket. So he's there, and what you don't see is you see CISSP, CISM, Security Plus, and CCNA around it. Okay, so that's what it was. Who remembers 8570? 8570, perfect. There was no doggone way you will get on my network without some kind of certification. That is how we're going to do this. Show me your Security Plus face. Show me your Security Plus face. That's what we were. It was complying to an order to get certifications from industry certifications, right? How many people here know that that 8570 had a whole training and development piece to it? Who knew that? One person, man, probably the person who wrote it, knew about it. It got lost. It was actually good, but the second half of it was, you can't do anything until you get one of these certifications. Okay, so let's talk about those certifications. How many people here know people who got a certification through 8570? Okay, good. I'm gonna go a couple ways here. Those that got certifications, did they know what they were doing? Okay, some people are saying no. They didn't know what they were doing. They got a certification, didn't know what they were doing. There are some who got certifications that know what they are doing, right? That's for sure. How many people here had people have a hard time passing any of the tests? Okay, plenty of people. How many people here of those who had a hard time, if it was you or someone you know having a hard time passing that test, how many of those people actually knew what they were doing? We have some, right? So you had a lot of people who were asked to take a test, couldn't pass the test, but I could put them on the network and they'd be able to run right through the things they needed to do, right? So what we did is we're like, hey, you know what? We should figure out some way to put all this together, right? We should find out some other ways to qualify people besides just the certification. Because in the end, what were you doing anyway? There were, in the Marine Corps, on the Marine Corps side, I was in the Marine Corps at the time, right? We were using unit training programs, right? Marines would get trained at the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse would build in the KSATs, right? We would train them how to do things, and then they'd come in, and we have a unit training program, and we worked from there, right? And then we also did a lot of work in the Marine Corps to like try and get the Security Plus stuff going, but that's where we started to find all these things going on, right? Okay, so that's for the Marines. Or the military came in, they have this whole, the continuum they can go through and everything. How many people here are civilians, or in the civilian workforce? Outstanding. How many of you have a training continuum? Yes, perfect. That's good, that's what I thought. Okay, so there was no training continuum for civilians. So what were we gonna do here? Like, how were we going to find some way to be able to have these qualifications get done? The military one was pretty easy. We just went to DoD and we're like, look, can you please put military training into the qualifications? They're like, sure, let's do that. So now we had a way to be able to bring the Marines in and do that. Now, what else did we do? We brought in a couple other things. So we thought we had a really cool idea. We were like, yes, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have things like experience and education and training in there. And so we go, let's bring out 8140. Okay, so I gotta explain these again. Okay, so if you can't see the slide, there's someone there, they have their glasses on, they're just like this. They're like, I can't even believe this. What's in the captions is, how am I gonna do all this? Who's gonna fund this? We got foundational, residential, continuous professional development, education, training, certifications, experience, CPD, PD changes, coding. Calgon, take me away! How's everybody? Is that how everyone feels right now with 8140? As we're going through and implementing, kind of feeling like a little overwhelmed about everything that's going on? I got 9 months or I got 12 months. How is all this going to work, right? So instead of thinking I have to do all this, I'm just asking you to think this is all I have to do, right? So think about that. I have to do all this? No. This is all you have to do in order to be part of a training and development program across the DoD and in whatever service you're in. right? So there is going to be this part where we're going to feel a little overwhelmed at the beginning because it's the beginning. We've only been in this just about 2 years. The manual dropped in February of 23. The strategy, I think, came 1 year later, right? So it's been a year. And the policy dropping is one thing, because that gave you the requirement, right? Where you're thinking about a lot of this compliance piece, right? And remember, we want to take you away from compliance, right, into training and development and talent management. So that first one dropped, but look, Mr. Gorak made sure, hey, we're following it right up with a strategy. Like, no kidding, this is just not something we're going to throw out there and you'd be like, get this done. They're like, yeah, I want you to get it done, but I'm also going to give you all these resources to get this done. If you haven't been on DoD Emerging Technologies, you should go there and check those things out. That's where you'll find the scholarship program that Mr. Gorak was talking about a little bit earlier today. You're going to find all that, right? This came with the ability to resource. I'm going to talk about resources a little bit later. Okay, so we're getting a little overwhelmed right now. It's crazy. We have requirements. There's a lot going on. But where we're going to take you is here. That's right. Okay, so if you can't see it, it's Julie Andrews. It is Sister Maria, and she is in the Swiss Alps, and she is singing, "The hills are alive with continuous training and development." Sorry, I apologize right now for that. It had to be done. It had to be done. But this is what we want you to understand 8140 really is. It's not about compliance. Do you have to meet requirements? Sure, but don't think about it as just meeting requirements. Think about it having fun, getting skilled up, developing, getting training. Mr. Gorak said it. He's like, hey, look, you're not going to just one-time train and that's it. And I was like, thank you, sir, right? Marines go to the range every year. They fire every year to show to assess them to the ability to be a marksman and to be able to take out the enemy, right? They go every year. So there you go. You're getting assessed every year to ensure you can be cyber ready for whoever it is you're taking on or whatever it is you're protecting. You will do that. But in order to do that, I can't ask you to do that without going, hey, let's give you some resources. Let's put some things in place that you can do that, like functional community resources, emerging technologies, rotational opportunities, right, that can come into play. All these things are actually out there. Now you just got to find out how do you get your culture and your resources in play in order to be able to actually execute a training and development program. So once again, I want you all to enjoy Julie Andrews. I want you to enjoy a Master Gunnery Sergeant in the Marine Corps picking Julie Andrews to be the spokesperson of where we are going. When we were doing this, you should see the art on the wall that I gave Chris up here. I'm like, Chris, look, this is what I'm thinking, just, and he's like this, and then I was like, hey. And I just drew these big mountains, and I drew notes, and he's like, someone's singing in mountains. I'm like, yes, Sound of Music, Chris. I understand you're only 30, but go with me, man. And so we ended up here, and the Gunny Hartman thing was great. So, talked about where we want to go to. So now I'm going to give over to Chris so he can talk about how you build and work out your training development program.
Thank you, Derek.
All right. It's for Chris.
So to start, I'll go through some of the drivers for why 8140 and why we are trying to evolve our training and development programs and how we do that. And first being, and I think everyone here has heard this over and over again, it's necessary to continue winning and win future fights. And that's the number one driver. And then some pieces that fall under that is we're in high competition with private industry for the high value, low density skill sets that we need in order to defend our networks and develop offensive capabilities. So in order to be ready, we can't just say, oh, we're having trouble hiring these people. We need the internal pipelines to develop these people and increase the amount of these people that are in the industry that we need to meet our requirements. And to recruit and to retain these people, defense is never going to be able to directly compete with private industry to always be able to pay higher, but we need to sell the value proposition that comes with defense and national service through that. And so it's incumbent on us, we need to provide career value through that and through giving people the development opportunities that they expect in modern industry that we work in. Moving through. So the way we see 8140 is it gives us the foundations that we need to develop an effective training and development program. So kind of walk through this. It establishes a system of roles in our workforce. So this is nothing new. We've always had this. We've had occupational series, kind of as we've discussed earlier for the others. Our cyber workforce is cross-cutting. We have people that are in all sorts of different occupational series for one, and then number two, the majority of our workforce is in 2 occupational series. So at that point, the occupational series isn't useful to us in terms of data-driven decision-making because it's too broad. So what 8140 gives us is a system of 73 work roles that actually describe a job function that is discrete, and we can use that to determine where we have gaps in our workforce and where we have gaps in the knowledge, skills, and abilities of our workforce. So that's step one. So in order to do that, it's important to engage academic and industry partners and work with them to develop that, and that's what happened, working with NICE and then taking the NICE framework and tiering it off into DCWF and actively evolving that as requirements evolve. And then you need to categorize what your requirements are. So you have your general educational understanding requirements, your foundational, and then you have your command and unit specific requirements, your residential, so things that the systems people need to be working on, the specific coding languages. And that way it kind of breaks things down into what someone basically needs to come on board versus what you can bring them up to speed on. And then finally, you need to take those codes and apply them to your workforce so that you can have that granular understanding of what the different functions are and what you may need. Move on. So managing an effective training development program with data. So once we have those data foundations established as a headquarters, we can now visualize the workforce and see where we're filling roles, where we're filling not, and where we need those internal pipelines to develop people that we are currently not meeting the requirement on. And so that helps us to, at that point, we can identify what the training needs are of the workforce to start looking for where we have gaps, where we need to bring in all that training and development so we can do upskilling and recruitment. I'll pass off back to Derek.
Give me a second, get the mic working. Okay, so thank you, Chris. As Chris was telling you, so it's just it's a follow-on to the Mr. Gorak's brief just now, right? Here's the foundation. So we've been provided the foundation, and that foundation allows us to get more data, and that data allows us to understand what our workforce looks like, so that we can then understand how do we resource it. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about resourcing here in just a second. So what we're trying to do as we execute this program is a couple things that we're starting with is we really wanted to find some way to get everything and every opportunity you could possibly find for cyber and get it in one place. For the military, once again, they have a continuum. For civilians, you don't have a continuum. So how do we get that and how do we put it all in place? So in the Marine Corps, and I'm going to skip down but skip back up, in the Marine Corps, we created something called the Information Development Institute. And we built it on MarineNet because the learning management system in the Marine Corps. And so what we did there is we went out and gathered anything and everything. So these things up here, right? I got to watch these speakers. Anything that's free, anything that we can find out there. CISA taking over FedVT, of course. Anything that's out there, we have it. We are going to gather that so we can provide that as an opportunity. Okay, we're also going to go out and see what kind of developmental opportunities are out there. So whether it be AWS or some other place like that, we're going to take a look at what's out there. And then we're going to also try and provide rotational opportunities. So once again, that was like looking for all the free stuff. We have a little bit of budget, so what do? We put an on-demand platform in there so that we can provide on-demand training to folks, right, and be able to do that. And then we went out, we found a vendor who's like cool with us, and we got some free courses that we could put in place, right? And that's nice because they're free, right? And so it was easy to kind of put this stuff together. So where we get into the next part, where we really want to take up our game, is in the resourcing department, right? And so hypothetically, this really isn't hypothetical. So it might have been the other day, I'm standing there, and Mr. Gorak comes up and goes like, so what's the Marine Corps need? And like Derek would do, he's like, money, 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 money. sorry again. But no, that's exactly what I said. I said money. And he's like, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. He's like, cool, what do you want money for? I was like, training. And he's like, how much money do you need? I don't know. He's like, okay, well, you figure all that out, and then you come and talk to me about resourcing, right? So that is one of our next steps that we're going to do, is because we are coding our workforce, because we are able to gather this data, we now can understand what does our workforce look like. We can understand what does it take to train that workforce. What is it that are going to be those costs? Where can we find scalable cost? Where can we partner with other people for our resources in order to be able to get after this, right? So that's our next step in resourcing, because when you ask somebody for money, you probably should have the reasons and give them the good budget. Like, this is exactly what I need. And so my expectation is that when we get that all together and we go to him, he's going to be like, oh, sure, here you go. And then if Chris and I's Gazette article makes it in the Marine Corps Gazette, you'll hear about one F-35 would do it for us if we could possibly get that. But who knows? We'll see about that. Okay, so we talked about this, establishing this one-stop shop for everything cyber. And so it's called the Information Development Institute, and I want to shoot it over to Sway Lemmy, because he's our guy now for Information Development Institute, and he's going to give you some training things that are coming up. Hit it, Sway.
Thank you, Derek. First of all, I want to apologize because I will not be as entertaining as Derek. Please bear with me. So just like Derek mentioned, I'm Sway Lemmy. So I'm the IWD Training Community of Interest Manager. So I'll be managing training for the workforce in the Marine Corps. As we're doing this, we are partnered, just like Derek mentioned, with several vendors, mostly GSA. That's where we get our free training. So free training, free for all, free 99. Everybody will come. Everybody will do it. So the fact that we have GSA, so we use the IDI platform, and we put all the training that we are getting with GSA, and everybody can sign up from there, and everybody can get training and help them stay on tap, help them stay where they need to be for 8140. Some stuff that we'll be doing internally, we'll be partnering with different vendors where we have to spend money now. So the way we're spending money to get some classes out there that's comparable to the private industry. So for example, some classes that you'll be seeing in the IDI platform will be Certified Network Defender. You'll see integrating AI into cybersecurity. You'll see Cloud Application and Security Java for AWS. All these are good training that we'll be needing to go where we want 8140 to go. So all this training will be applicable to you. So please check out our IDI page for this quarter, and then you'll be definitely seeing our training, and you'll be able to sign up. And it's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis, and there's going to be group training, virtual, so it doesn't matter where you're at. You don't have to be within the command for you to apply. You can definitely apply first-come, first-served, and it'll be virtual and free for all. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Now over to Emily to talk about our community page.
So one thing I'll say about that, the number one question that we get when we brief about IDI, what does that do for Navy? Can Navy go there? And so we always have to say that's for Marine Corps. But guess what? We're not going to have it that way anymore. We're going to have a DoD's solution, a community functional management page, functional community management page for cyber, a one-stop shop, just like what IDI does. It's a copy and paste. We're going to have it available. So if you're in the cyber workforce, if you're in the digital workforce, you can go here and understand what opportunities, what training you would have available. Where this will be hosted is TBD. It's just starting out. We're getting together with the MNRA lead for functional community management to see what can we do, how can we shape this. We're going to take the lessons learned from what Marine Corps has done and make it a DoD's solution so that we have this in place for our cyber workforce. Sound good?
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. That's great. That's fantastic. Yes, we will take this. Proud day for us. to be able to go to Miss Rathbun, right, and taking, I will always give it up to Alfredo Rodriguez, who was the creator of IDI. We supported him in getting that done, right, but it was just a fantastic day to be able to go to Miss Rathbun, say, this is what this is, ma'am, this is how we do it, and she's like, I love that. Let's make that happen for the Dawn. So that was fantastic, and now we just got to resource and get it done so we can get it out to you all. And so now you'll see down here, I'm going to jump back up to a rotational opportunity later, but maintain communications and engage the workforce. So the Navy team is fantastic at this. Anybody knows I evangelize the Navy team. They are fantastic. As a matter of fact, most of the documentation that we do in the Marine Corps is because the Navy wrote it and we just put Marine Corps on it because they do a fantastic job. So because they do that, what Josh and Anna are going to do is they're going to give you a rundown on some of the workforce stuff that we are going to do. So Josh, if you want to start off, please.
All right, so specifically, we're going to talk to the other side of coin of training, and that is the readiness piece, right? Today, well, since 2016, we have been doing readiness. So this is nothing new. When 8140 came to the page, Derek spoke to the military training, all the certifications or education, or as I think Matt just mentioned, they updated it to or, right? So on their slide. So either one of those three options, plus now experience as an option, we are running with the DoD CIO hand in hand to get the Navy qualifications that we've been utilizing since 2016 into the qualification matrices. A lot of that is a third-party vendor that they utilize with the certifications. I know that there's probably vendors out here that are on these monthly calls discussing getting their certifications and education into their AI tool. As far as military specific, though, we are working hand in hand with our IT rating, our rating leads across the Navy in the different departments of IT, crypto, all those that fall under the cyber workforce, and we are making sure that they are getting their specific rate training, which is under our old Navy SecNav policy, up into the 8140 qualification matrices. So as that's happening, we are filtering all this information as far as qualifications into our readiness database, which is TWIMS today. So we are working in TWIMS with a lot of automation to basically pull in from the authoritative sources where this information is housed into TWIMS, which is an aggregator of that data. In TWIMS, we capture the readiness through a scorecard and a checks and balances system. It vets it against the 8140 qualification matrices, and then it allocates points to us as a person's scorecard in TWIMS. So that is what we're using today. That is what we are continuing to refine with the DoD team as they pump out qualification matrices on a ad hoc / quarterly basis, and that's where we're going in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm going to speak briefly about the residential. The residential, there's actually two different parts. There is the on-the-job training qualification as well as the environment specific. In regards to the on-the-job training, we're putting together a workbook that will assist supervisors in determining what the pertinent KSATs would be for that position, mainly listing all that are there, and they would be able to select what is pertinent to that position. And it's necessary for the employee to comply 100% with the pertinent ones. Now, there may be, out of all the KSATs, maybe only 20% are pertinent for that position, or it may be that 80% of them are, but that is up to the supervisor. So we're putting together tools that will assist them to make this kind of determination if they've qualified with that. The other part is that we are working to get the PQS that the military used to see if any of that's applicable for the civilian as well. And they would match part of those. It wouldn't have to be the whole PQS. They could pick certain parts of it and adopt it to the position. Again, that would be dependent on what the supervisor decides is pertinent for that position. The other part of it is environment specific. We used to call this OSCE for operating system computing environment. But environment specific allows us to accommodate those areas as cyber has just expanded and make sure that we can adjust to that. And the environment specific is for those that have privileged access. So we realize that there are a number of people who have elevated access that's not truly privileged. So privileged access are those that really have the keys to the kingdom, that have privileged a root access to a system. It wouldn't be someone that, I think a lot of activities have SharePoint content administrators, where they have to set up for their branch a SharePoint site and say what's there and give people access to that. That is not privileged access. So we realize now there are a number of tools that are out there, and if they have technical constraints, we would not consider that privileged. But those that have the root access and could have a greater impact, those are the ones that we want with the T5 investigation, and those that we want to have the training that is specific to that. And we're leaving it up to the system owner to determine what training is applicable before they get access to that. So if somebody has read-only access, a system owner may say, okay, this is what you need. This is the kind of training you need for that. And the system owner says, oh, you have system administration access. You need more training for that. So the SecNav manual is going to have some of it, but it's more of in a general way because we want policy to be able to stay in place for another 10 years. But there will be additional information, clarifying guidance that will be coming out in the future that will help make the determination of what is there. Yes. There's a microphone over here, please. Thank you.
So first of all, my name is Barbara Sigsworth. I'm with Nightwake Pacific. I'm the PEO Digital Cybersecurity Lead for Cloud. So I'm very happy to hear that, because if you have a SaaS, you have an enhanced user, but not a privileged user, because the SaaS actually controls all the kings to the kingdom behind the scenes.
Excuse me, can you turn up a little bit? Okay.
Okay. So in a SaaS environment, if someone has configuration control for an instance or doing some configurations, are not really addressing the security aspects of the overall SaaS. So this is something that would be really, really helpful for us to not have to put all of those onus and requirements for privileged access. So what you were talking about was having them have the system owner define it, but then what is the additional requirement? So like right now we have to do PAAs for anybody who has above user access. So is there going to be another process, or is it going to be up to every system owner to define that?
There probably will be some general guidance that we will be providing to assist with it.
Okay.
But some of it will be up to the system. And then, depending where the system is, if it's in echelon 2, then everybody will receive it going down. So where it resides. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate that, and that's some good. That's a great question, because even if we give that general guidance, and you're like, I'm not coding that one person, that does not mean that person does not get training, right? You can't just leave them out because, we didn't code that person. You got to understand there's training that needs to be available for that entirety of that workforce, from the user to the leader, right? So some of it has been required, and some of it's been put into matrices, and some of it you're going to have to come up with as a system owner to understand what training needs to be provided. But you need to provide that training. You need to make sure people get training. You need to empower them to go and get training. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, let's go. Let's go to the next one. All right. So, okay, it's the Mandalorian. I don't know if y'all probably can't see it over here. It's 4 Mandalorians with Grogu. Okay, because training and development is a team effort, right? We at an enterprise level need to provide opportunities. Then you as the individual need to want to be a lifelong learner. Look, if you don't want to be a lifelong learner, then probably Mr. Gorak will have a conversation with you. If you're not going to be a lifelong learner, then maybe there's something else that you want to do, right? But he's already said, hey, you're going to train every year to do something. So we expect people to want to be lifelong learners. Believe me, the kids coming in right now that are coming in, they have an expectation that they should be able to go in, hit a button, and get that training program in there, right? Whether it be wherever you work, you might have these things. If you're a contractor or if you're working somewhere that has this, there's a whole training program. There's Udemy. There's all these places. Those are already available to folks out there. So we need to be able to do that same thing here in the DoD and make sure that that's available, or we're not going to attract the talent that we're looking for, right? So we need to have those. Leadership needs to ensure that you go and get your training and gives you time to train and gives you time to do rotational opportunities. Real quick on rotational opportunities. That's right, I'm going to take a little sideway here. I don't know if anybody watches. So I have given Warner Brothers, Fox, 20th Century Fox, and Disney some due, right? So FX, here you go. Here's one for you, FX. So if you've not seen The Bear, maybe take some time to watch it. You got to get in the right mindset. But basically, it is about a kitchen. So this guy goes to take over a restaurant. He used to run Noma, which you know is the best restaurant in the world. He used to run it. He goes back to take over his brother's restaurant. And in the first season, they're just going through. And if you want to talk about chaos and understanding what you are supposed to do because you have been trained correctly to do that. So in the middle of the craziest time, when you are serving people on the line and you're cooking and you're doing this, watch The Bear and watch the chaos that tends to happen. So in the end of season 1, and sorry, spoiler alert's coming, in the end of season 1, they find some cash and they're going to go open The Bear. So the beef was the old restaurant, The Bear's the new one. I read ahead because I haven't watched season 2 yet. I know, but just hang with me here. Okay. At the end, in the season 2, the whole entire thing is they start sending their people out because they close the restaurant down. They start sending their people out on rotational opportunities. I loved it. I had to use it because, gosh, it was right there, rotational opportunities. They send their people out to rotational opportunities. 2 people go to the Culinary Institute so they can just learn to cook better. Somebody goes to Copenhagen, somebody goes to work at another restaurant, right? They all go to get another perspective of how somebody else is doing what they do in another place. Is it successful? Does it fail? What is going on with it? And they're going to take all that back and be able to run that restaurant much, much better, right? So we have to have an understanding of these rotational opportunities. This really comes into leaders because there is a rotational opportunity that comes out of OPM and DoD. What people don't tend to realize is that if you're creating an opportunity, right, or you send someone to an opportunity, I'm down a person. But it doesn't say anywhere in there that you can't write an opportunity, right? This can be a switch, right? You can say the person that's going to go, I'm going to write a surge thing I need there to bring someone in. So you have to understand this can be give and take. It doesn't have to be give all the time, right? You can work this into your advantage in a rotational opportunity. So once again, this takes a team. It takes all of us to be able to do this. And I will say right now, are there any questions? Okay. Make sure to look for the community page when it comes out. We have been Derek Fickle, Christopher Dupree, Sway Lemmy, Emily Gaughan, Joss Wright, and Anna Eschball, your Don Cyber Workforce team. Thank you.